Good afternoon, potato chips. It's wee Paddy from across the shuck, and I'm coming back with another video now on this beautiful knife. You've already seen it. I've done my initial thoughts on it, and I've used it in a couple of videos already, but I haven't done the full review and after use. Now, it's my kind of use, so please don't be looking for dents in the blade and all that. It's not going to happen. This is, as I throw it around myself, this is the GEC number 86 pattern. Now, they done an 86 pattern about 2 years ago, and that's the thing with GEC. You never know when the pattern's going to come back again. But this came back quite quickly. But I think because of the success of the previous one, which is the oil field jack, I have one of them, and I'll show you that in a second, or in a minute or two, once I had a wee chat about this. This is the number 86 2 Acorn Barlow, 2AB. And apart from looks, and the looks really do play a big part in any of our buys. Look at the figuration in that bone there. It's natural bone, just dyed, and it is in places a really near deep blood black colour, right up to the maroons, the reds, the pink around the edges, the pocket worn. Everything about this is done particularly well. It is just the most stunning handle. So there you go. That's my first thing about it that I absolutely adored. The Barlow. I had said when I first had it, I wish that this Barlow here had been up in the middle, but you can't because there's a tang there that they have to, a pin, sorry, underneath there. So it has to be put in place properly. But I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell you, I just love it the way it is. I have no... Do you know the way you can say, oh, well, I wish it had been there, but this'll do? That's the way I thought about it initially. But you see, after use, do I stare at the tang a lot? No, I just think it looks beautiful in this configure, in this shape here. It is just beautiful. I cannot fault the handle or the bolster. The fit and finish of the knife, let me just show you. It's typical GEC. It gets a bit boring. But look at that fit and finish. It is immaculate. Round to the lovely cut off at the top. It's got a high cut off at the back here. Beautifully clean inside. Just beautiful. The tangs or the bolsters when they come down are perfectly even there. All the wee things that you want to look for on a knife, especially an expensive knife, which these are. They are an expensive knife. Especially in the secondary market. If you don't get them straight away, then they become very expensive. I was lucky to be able to buy this from a dealer over here in the UK. Mike's Knives, highly recommend them. I do it all the time. If you've got a pattern that you like that's coming out, send him an email and he'll put you on the list. But you have to be quick. Everybody in the UK is UK GEC knife collector are going to hit it on the nail. So you have to do a bit of groundwork to find out when the next ones are coming back. Go to the GEC and join their, subscribe to their YouTube, and you can go and find out, or is it Facebook? I think it is. Yeah, I mean, you just have to do a wee bit of legwork to get GECs, especially when you're not in America. So that's all I can say. You've got to join groups. You've got to mix in with people. So I'm sorry, everybody keeps saying they're hard, but how many knives that are coming out, like these Vero knives at the minute, how hard they are to get? It's not just GEC. It's not, we're not just being picked on because we like slip joints. These expensive high-end knives that are made, with the titanium and all these high-end steels, some of them are really hard to get. But if you want them, you search them out and you find them. It's no different. There is no difference in these knives other than the price. This is a high-end slip joint. There's our high-end modern knives. So there's no difference in the chase value. And when you get one of these, then you really appreciate it when you've had to put a bit of work in. Or maybe you've had to pay a lot more than you should have to get one. But the joy of getting one overrides that when it's in your hand because they're just spectacular. They're a world-famous company that make a knife that's brilliant. Small production runs. Not all the time. They've done this last production run's been quite a lot. But most of the time, they're small production runs. The blade. Let me just show you that blade. How lovely is that blade? It's a thick enough stock, I would say 2 mil, maybe a wee bit over 2 mil, maybe 2.5. Comes down to a beautiful tip. Not a weak tip, but it's not a strong tip. This is not a prying tool. The Barlow, the shape of GEC Barlows, they're all individual, the different shapes. I love this one because it gives you a scraping ability, at the top there. It's just got the nail nick on this. This is made in the Cyclops Works, which is an old building, or that the older GECs that were made in 440C or whatever stainless steel they were using at the time. The Cyclops building was used for them. Now, I'm not sure whether it's still used, but this is named from the Cyclops Works. So maybe it is, maybe it is. Maybe there's machinery there that they still use and go and use for it. But it is just gorgeous. It really is. A lovely, full, glossy blade, just mirror finished to perfection. They really are gifted artisans at work for GEC, and that's what you're paying for. But you're not paying silly money, do you know what I mean? Say an average of £150, for a knife. For the amount of work that goes into this, when they're all handmade, hand built, yes, they have some CNC, they'll cut the blades out and whatever, but putting them together and all the finishing is done by hand. Think of the time and effort that it takes a tradesman to do that sort of thing. So I don't think they're dear. I know a lot of people say they are dear, but is £150 dear to you for any knife, or is it just GEC? Because, the average EDC knife, just an average one, like the bug out, is going to be 130, 140, depending on what style you get. So, and that's an average knife that they would call in the in the community. That's a knife that everybody, tries to get to. It's not unattainable. Well, neither are these to me. And if you don't have much money, you have a choice of saving or just buying. There's plenty of other good knives out there that cut as good, well, that can cut as good as this. You have to be, maybe have to accept less of the fit and finish that GEC bring. But this to me is a full four-fingered, beautiful GEC knife. This is everything I ever needed in a pen knife. It's in 440C. Beautiful. Absolutely great. I love 440C. It's easy to sharpen. It's easy to strop back at the end of the day because I don't hard use them. But I want to just show the blade difference. Here's a bug out now. Let's put the two blades together here. I'm lining the back of them up here. So this, what you can see, the difference is a 1/4 of an inch at most difference in the cutting edge. So I'm putting the cutting edge there. You can see the cutting edge is maybe a 1/4 of an inch, an 1/8 to a 1/4 of an inch difference in the cutting edge. This is as thin behind the edge as this. I would actually say this is probably thinner. Yeah, it's probably thinner. I haven't got my measuring sticks here. They're down the caravan, I'm afraid, still. But as an EDC knife, I would put this up against this any time. This is lighter than this is. I think that's under 2. This is about 2.5, 3. I don't know. I haven't got my measuring stuff, but it doesn't really matter there. And that's that area of knives that, everybody can carry. This is not too heavy. Or it wouldn't be called a pocket knife. Here's another one. This is a modern knife. This is the Civivi. Oh God, there's so many different models. I can't even remember what the model it is, but it's a beautiful Barlow, beautiful clip point blade. Absolutely beautiful, but it's a lockback, so it's illegal over here. But it's another option if you're, using. The blade length is exactly the same. They're about the same, 7 inches, 4 and 3, which is my perfect EDC length. Always has been. Even when I was in the more modern knives, that was being my favourite blade length. There's the one that it was budget knife of the year. It's the QB, is it the 322, I think? Something like that. The cutting edge is a bit bigger on this one. Definitely as fine as this one. This is a real slim cutting edge. Just going by looks and feel. I haven't got the measurements, but a lovely working knife, but it's locking, so again. And there's the Para 3, my favourite work knife that's a locking knife. Again, it's about 7 and it's not 7 and 3, it's less than 3 in the blade. So if I take these butt to butt, There you are. The Para 3 is a little bit bigger, but most of that is going to be the handle, because the cutting edge on this probably is an eighth to a quarter longer on my GEC than it is the Para 3. Nice cutting edge on this. High flat grinds, obviously great for cutting. But they're not going to beat this for me. I mean, for me as a traditional lover now, I mean, this is just perfect. And the 440C gives me an option. If I'm going somewhere where there's a lot of damp, or, I'm going down near the water, I would take this rather than my more expensive, not more expensive, exactly the same expense, but they're in high carbon fiber. What am I talking about? They're carbon steel blades, most of my slip joints. So it is nice to have a 440. I am a muppet. It's nice to have that 440 when you go down to the beach, which I do a lot, rather than taking the carbon steel down. Now, as long as I clean it when I come back, it shouldn't matter too much. But when you're cutting a bit of stick that's covered in salt from the sea, it's nice to have this to take and use it. I really am a muppet. Right, here we go. This is this year. I was 2021. This was 2019. This is an under 86, but a completely different animal compared to this. This is what I would use if I want to do a bit more harder work. I'll set that up there. Let's have a look at this. This has two blades, and this was the oil field jack with a spanner shield, which is gorgeous and fitted to perfection. But look at that white bone. And then look how they've dyed it. It's like an oil slick. This particular one and this side is one of the nicest I have seen on YouTube. It is stunning. You have a beautiful, beautiful sheep's foot blade there. It's as long as many a pocket knife. Beautiful. And the action is gorgeous. It's got exactly the same blade, where that gives you that sort of scraping ability at the top. This is in 1095. And like I always say, I don't like buying twos of a knife unless there's something special about them. Well, that bone handle on that there is incredibly special. But having the two working blades makes it an incredibly good work knife. If I'm going to have a day where I'm going to work a wee bit harder, having them two knives, one for detail, one for everyday cutting, I'm going to get through any day with this knife. 1095 is a good, hard, tough steel. It'll get you through, especially with two blades, it'll get you through a day. Not a problem. But if you look at the difference, let me just close this up. Being a 2, and I say, look at the difference in there. Let me just get them together. I'm still finding it quite hard to work with these gloves because they're a bit slidey. Look at the difference in the blade thickness. Yes, there's a difference. And yes, there's a difference in weight. This actually, it actually does feel like a much more heavy, substantial knife. If you were going to do harder work, you'd want this because it is so solidly built. Again, GEC, so the fit and finish is just perfect. There's no wobble in any of the blades. It's just a stunning knife. So we'll set that up there. So that's 286 patterns. And I think it's obvious to see why I'm happy to have two of them in my collection. The other one that I love is the number 15 pattern, and maybe have 3 of them. But the reason is because they're all different. One has got a comb on it. I mean, it's just for different reasons. But this one here as a real heavy duty work knife. This one as a work knife, but this would be more what I would call an EDC knife, because it's much lighter to carry than that one. Not that there's a big difference. But do you know what I mean? So this has definitely become my favorite GEC model. Now, this year's starting off, and I've one on order. I don't know whether I'll get it yet or not. I don't know where I am in the list. And that's the fair thing about Mike. When you put your email out, they go in that order of date that you put them in. And time, even if it gets down to that. So I don't know whether I'm going to get the new model that's just out at the minute. It's the one you had with the, the 94? You had the American flag on it. Well, obviously I wouldn't want the American flag. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I'm not American. So I've waited now, and I'm looking for I really would love the blue bone. But they're both nice. The red and the blue bone in that pattern, I absolutely love. I hope I get the blue. I don't have a GEC and a blue bone, and I really want one. So there we go. This knife, if you ever get the chance to buy one, and you're a slip joint collector, don't worry about the money. Get it, sell something. This is a stunning knife that is at the very limit of UK legal. So you're carrying as big as you can possibly can, but it's legal. And carrying a knife that's not legal. It's funny, Pete was saying the other night about the slim Barlows, and it's not a pattern I particularly like. I don't like the thinness of the Barlows. Trappers is not a knife I particularly like. But the reason now, for those of you in the UK, to be careful if you're going to buy an expensive trapper or a slim, the slim Barlows, the slim trapper, I should say, be careful of the blade length, because if this law comes in, this is over the 3-inch limit. It's over the 3-inch limit. Do you know, I think I've made a mistake too. I am just going to double check while we're on the video. I'm just going to double check. Do you know, by golly, this is taking it to the very extreme. That is really close. I hadn't gone right to the back. But the trapper, the large trapper, is not going to be legal in the UK to carry. So it makes that work knife even more valuable to me as a, just a working knife rather than a piece of jewellery like this is. But this is a carrying jewellery. I'm carrying this. I'm not worrying about getting scratches or anything on it. Not whatsoever. It's just too nice. I don't want to put this in that box and keep it in there. This is, £150 worth of knife that I'm quite happy to use and carry regularly. It's just gorgeous. So there you go. It's another raving review about a GEC, but is that not a good thing? Is that not a good thing? I've got a company now that when I buy them, I expect the standard to be very high. Is there going to be the odd slip up? Yes. They don't all come dead centered like this does. Look at that. Let me just get this up. Dead centered. Absolutely perfect. But they don't all come like that. And I have ones that are not dead centered. But as long as they're not touching the sides, so what? And if you get a slight wee gap, a big gap I wouldn't accept, I would send back. But a slight wee gap in the back there, is it going to affect the knife? No, it's not. But when I buy them, I generally believe that I'm going to get a very good product, which is what you'd want if you're collecting high-end knives in any category. Once you get it's a high-end knife, you want it to be as perfect as it can be. And that's what I get from GEC, and that's why I rave about them. And if you get a chance, I know we're all not going to get that chance to get one, and I know a lot of us are not going to afford to get one, but I hope you enjoy my just passion for them. They just really enthuse my collecting, my user. Everything about them is just so damned exciting to me. It's sad. And I don't have another hobby, so this has got to stick to it. Take care, everybody. Thanks for my waffle. Thanks for listening to my waffle. And I'll see you for the next one. It's going to be on Friday. I might throw a wee quickie in tomorrow, but on Friday we're going to reveal another one of the knives that I'd asked you to choose which order they were going to go in. So we'll see you on Friday for that, if not a wee quickie tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye now.